For today's headlines, no going off grid, says Cusi. 19 Pinoys not leaving Kyiv. Philippines welcomes foreign tourists anew. Bataan ice alert level 0. Rody urged to veto Vape Act. NBI hunting child buyer. Aviation students cheat death. WHO warns over soaring COVID cases. Good morning, I am Venice Bautista and this is Tribune News on Q. Today is March 18, 2022, and these are the latest news this Friday morning. Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi said the next administration should find ways to develop a national grid transmission system that best suits the archipelagic nature of the Philippines. Cusi said before the Rotary Club of Manila on Thursday that he wants to emphasize Mindoro Province. They can already look for grid transmission so there can be sharing of power, and that is the important development. He added that he was also pushing for universal charges in Malampaya to bring down electricity costs, but partly that's accomplished by the Murang Kuryente Act, and he hopes the next administration will be able to find better ways. The 52 billion peso Mindanao-Visayas interconnection project of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines is among the big-ticket projects being seen to boost the country's power capacity. According to the Department of Energy, the project alone will add an initial 300 megawatts to the Luzon grid starting June this year. It will save the island from threats of rotational blackouts at times when demands are high. An official of the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, on Thursday said 329 Filipinos have been repatriated so far from war-torn Ukraine, while at least 19 others have chosen to remain in Kyiv, the country's capital. In an interview, DFA Undersecretary for Migrant Workers Affairs, Sara Lu Ariola, said that only about 100 Filipinos remain in Ukraine. She said as of last night, there are 329 Filipinos who have returned home. She added that 41 Filipino seafarers have been evacuated to nearby countries for their eventual repatriation to the Philippines. She said there are still those in the Black Sea, but not all of them want to go home because it's a different place. The others said they still want to stay in their merchant ships because they have food and provisions. They believe that they are safe in their place, and the DFA has elevated the alert level status to 4 in Kyiv, which necessitates the mandatory return of Filipinos from the Eastern European country. Ariola said the 19 Filipinos who expressed a desire to stay in Ukraine are either married to a Ukrainian and they cannot leave their family, or they have an employer who is with them. She added that they are in constant contact with them, but unfortunately they are doing a mandatory repatriation, but there are people who really don't want to evacuate. Ariola warned Filipinos against waiting out the Russia-Ukraine situation in nearby European countries, adding it is preferable to return home. In an effort to rebuild the pandemic-battered economy, the Philippines will fully reopen its doors to all foreign tourists, including from visa countries, starting April 1, according to the Department of Tourism on Thursday. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the Interagency Task Force has approved the recommendation to allow the entry of foreign tourists into the country, provided they be fully vaccinated against the coronavirus disease 2019. To recall, the IATF initially allowed the entry of foreign travelers from 157 visa-free countries worldwide on February 10, and since its reopening, a total of 96,096 tourists from visa-free countries has arrived in the country. She added that all foreign travelers must provide a negative reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction test or antigen test result that has been taken 24 hours before their departure from the country of origin. Meantime, the tourism chief disclosed that the National Task Force Against COVID-19 has agreed to provide free COVID-19 booster shots for inbound Japanese tourists. She said the recommendation was approved by NTF Chief Implementer and Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. and NTF Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
Manong Joe po,
At Ate Maita,
good news! Muling bumaba ang overall electricity rates. Halos 12 centavos per kilowatt hour ang decrease ngayong buwan.
ngayong Valentine's month, nakakamiss mag-family movie date. May big screen, hot popcorn, at malamig na sinihan. Pero syempre, mas safe to stay at home. May bright idea si Engineer Joel para dyan.
Keep your loved ones safe. Mag-cine experience at home. Ang Smart TV, 80 centavos lang per hour ang konsumo. At para kumpleto, mag-popcorn at aircon. Kung virtual date naman, 18 centavos per hour ang paggamit ng laptop.
Kahit magkalayo, together tayo.
How sweet! Safe na, cost-efficient pa.
Hanggang sa susunod na
Meralco Advisory.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
Oh, vaccination, isolation. Gotta keep up with my nutrition. Gotta maintain my body condition. Then I can take my vaccination. What do I choose? What do I take? As long as it is not a fake. AstraZeneca, Moderna, BioNTech, even Sinovac, okay na. Babakuna ka ba? 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 Vaccination for the nation, no more isolation. With vaccination, babakuna ka ba? 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 Paturok, paturok, paturok.
This public service advisory is brought to you by Daily Tribune and 100.3 RJFM.
We are back on Tribune News on Q. The provincial government in Bataan capital is hoping to downgrade to the loosest quarantine measure with the continuing decrease of coronavirus disease 2019 cases recorded in the province for the past several days. Bataan Governor Abit Garcia said that the Provincial Department of Health is now studying the status of coronavirus cases in Bataan, and if it continues to decrease, they can implement Alert Level 0. Garcia said he is hoping that Bataan will be downgraded to the next alert level, which is 0, and this is being studied by the DOH carefully. He also expressed his gratitude to the Bataeños for following health protocols and noted that with the high level of trust in the vaccination program of the government, they achieved the highest level of number of vaccinated in the country. Meanwhile, the Department of Education on Thursday called on President Rodrigo Duterte to veto the Vaporized Nicotine Products Regulation Act approved by the Senate on third and final reading last December 2021. The Education Department stressed that it is taking a stand against the anti-health vape bill, which will weaken existing law and the executive order against electronic nicotine delivery systems or electronic non-nicotine delivery systems, commonly known as e-cigarettes or vapes. The agency also stressed that the bill will lower the access restriction age from 21 to 18 years old, as currently set by Republic Act 11467 and Executive Order 106. For the school year 2020 to 2021, at least 870,000 learners in the basic education sector were 18 years old, according to DepEd's information system, while close to 1.1 million learners in senior high school were 18 to 20 years old. This is the number of learners who will become legally allowed to be marketed harmful products once the bill becomes law, according to the DepEd. The bill also permits online sales and allows flavors other than plain tobacco and menthol, the only two flavors currently allowed by law. Further, the bill is positioned to reduce the harm caused by smoking. Meanwhile, a group of lawyers and doctors echoed the sentiment of the Education Department to have the President veto the vape bill. Public interest law group Imagine Law Executive Director Attorney Sofia San Luis urged the President to veto the vape bill, which was also opposed by medical and health community. San Luis said that the vape bill is grounded on fake science and fake news, and there are no credible studies that back proponents' claims that the vaping products and e-cigarettes are safer alternatives to traditional cigarettes, nor are they effective in making smokers quit. Operatives from the National Bureau of Investigation are now looking for the individual who bought an 8-month-old baby from a mother who incurred a huge debt due to addiction to online cockfighting. NBI officer in charge, Director Eric Destor, urged the buyer, who remains unidentified, to return the child as soon as possible, as the mother made the assurance that she will return the 45,000 peso cash she received from the individual. If unheeded, the store stressed that agents of the NBI will never stop hunting him. The mother has sought help to the Investigation Bureau as she appealed to the man whom she transacted with to return her baby prior to the transaction, and the mother reportedly exchanged messages with a certain individual on March 1 who was interested in adopting her child for an amount. After agreeing on the price, they met at a fast food store in Quezon City on March 3. And the mother said the person asked for her ID and for her to sign documents, but was not given a copy of the document, and she has no photograph of the person who took her child. She messaged the person, but she was already blocked. Tribune News on Q will be back. Stay with us.
Araneta City, home to the country's first indoor shopping mall, the world's original Thrilla, and the first ever Bini Bini pageant. Now a place for your first win, your first catch, your first home, your first big break, your first date, and even your first love. Araneta City, the city of firsts.
Ayon sa World Bank, tinatayang 4.8 hanggang 12.7 milyong toneladang plastik ang sumisira sa ating karagatan taon-taon. Halos 80% nito ang nanggagaling sa Asya. Sa buong mundo, ang Pilipinas ay itinuturing na pangatlong pinakamalaking nagdudulot ng polusyon sa karagatan. Ang nakalalasong kemikal mula sa plastik ay di lamang kumukontamina sa karagatan, ngunit pati na rin sa hanging nilalanghap at lupang ginagalawan natin. Kung magpapatuloy ang kasalukuyang paggamit ng single-use plastics, sa taong 2050, mas marami na ang plastic kumpara sa mga isda na nasa ating mga karagatan. Dahil dito, mas pinaiigting ng pamahalaan ang kampanya laban sa paggamit ng single-use plastics. Nanganganib ang ating planeta. Iisa lang ito. Lahat tayo ay dapat kumilos sa lalong madaling panahon upang pangalagaan ito. Tama na ang plastikan.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ano bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga parties, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera Pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
Every time I'm on the road, I can expect high performance from Phoenix Fuels. Now with Pulse technology, delivers enhanced power and acceleration to make every trip come alive.
With Globe, our steps can lead us to millions of doors opening, millions of paths unfolding, and millions of reasons to keep going. Now's the time to be with a network that gets better every day for you.
Mahalin natin ang Pilipinas.
Lilipad na ang agila, magtatanggol, magmamahal sa ating bansa.
We shall fly, soar, fight, and win!
Maasa, intarisara, sa'yo lang.
You are still watching Tribune News on Q. Authorities reported on Thursday that a test flight using a Rockwell Commander 685 or Aero Commander 685 aircraft fell short and landed 500 meters from the shoreline at Purok 3, Barangay Santo Rosaria in Iba, Zambales. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, in a statement, disclosed that the aircraft was carrying 6 passengers, most of them student pilots and marshals, along with the pilot. CAAP said that the aircraft was operated by Sentinel Logistic Air Management, and according to initial information, the pilots were identified as Captain Mel Bidayan, Captain Florencio Ruiz, Captain Jamil Riamon, Captain Alberench Sagario, Captain Ian Vincent Agdamag, and Captain Robin Austria. The pilots are based in Subic Bay Freeport Zone, with Bidayan piloting aircraft RPC 5230. Bidayan said that they experienced mechanical failure, forcing them to crash land near the shores of the said barangay. After the flight ditched, the aircraft's passengers and pilot were rescued by the Philippine Coast Guard with the help of local fishermen from the area. All persons on board the aircraft are now at the President Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Hospital to seek medical attention. And the CAAP Aircraft Incident Investigation and Inquiry Board investigators Colonel Romel Ronda and Ralph Fango have been dispatched to probe the incident. The World Health Organization voiced alarm Wednesday that registered COVID cases are once again rising globally, despite testing levels having dropped significantly. After falling for weeks, reported COVID cases rose globally by 8% last week, with more than 11 million cases and over 43,000 new deaths registered, WHO said. And in the Western Pacific region, new cases shot up last week by a full 29%. Case numbers in the region have been rising since the end of December, and the Western Pacific has now overtaken Europe as the global hotspot for detected new cases, with 5.02 million compared to 4.99 million in Europe. Maria Van Kerkhove, the WHO's technical lead on COVID-19, lamented the global increase, telling a news conference that it came despite a significant reduction in testing that's occurring worldwide. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus agreed, warning that the lack of visibility due to reduced testing meant the cases we are seeing are just the tip of the iceberg. And that wraps up the stories this morning. But before we go, we would like to thank the following: the SM Store, Arata City, Department of Tourism, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, Empire East Land Holdings Incorporated, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Venice Bautista on Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good morning.
Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. Download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS and Google Play for Android to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune invites you to join its Viber community, Katribu, to get updates on the hottest news on politics, business, sports, lifestyle, and entertainment. Emoticons of the Tribune mascot Tarsito are available on our community Viber.